You've tied your shoelaces thousands of times without once asking why they're there. But have you ever stopped to wonder why your shoe has laces in the first place? Not how to tie them, but why they exist at all. Because the answer has almost nothing to do with keeping your shoe on your foot. Walk back a few centuries, and the shoe you'd be wearing probably had a buckle on it. Maybe a button, maybe a series of straps that took real time to fasten. And that wasn't an accident, it was a statement. Buckles, especially in the 1600s and 1700s, weren't just functional. They were expensive to make, often crafted from polished metal, sometimes set with decorative stones. The bigger and shinier the buckle, the more it told everyone around you exactly where you stood. Your shoes weren't just covering your feet, they were advertising your status. That's why wealthy households across Europe wore elaborate buckled footwear, while working people made do with whatever they could afford. But most people assume laces are the older, more primitive solution, the thing people wore before they figured out buckles. That's actually backwards. Buckles dominated fashionable footwear for centuries. Laces, in terms of mass adoption, came later. And they didn't win because they looked better. They won because something much bigger was forcing a change. As cities swelled during the Industrial Revolution, a new class of workers needed shoes. Lots of them, quickly, cheaply. Buckles were a bottleneck. They required skilled metalwork. They added cost. They slowed production. Factories needed a fastening system that was simple to manufacture, easy to standardize, and fast to attach at scale. Lacing systems, as a concept, are genuinely ancient. Archaeologists have found footwear with lacing structures going back thousands of years. But mass adoption waited for the moment economics demanded it. So if laces solved a manufacturing and cost problem, why did everyone actually start wearing them? So before we go further, buckles were a status symbol for centuries, and laces only took over because factories needed something cheaper and faster to produce. Which side would you have been on? Team buckle or team lace? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the real twist is what happened once ordinary people actually got their hands on laces. Look down at your shoelace right now, specifically at the tip. That small plastic or metal sleeve at the end? That's called an aglet. And without it, the entire industrial lacing system would have collapsed before it started. A raw fabric lace frays almost immediately with use. Thread it through a metal eyelet a few dozen times, and it shreds. For a buckle, that's not a problem. The buckle is the hardware. But a lacing system depends entirely on the lace moving cleanly through every eyelet, every single time. The aglet is what made that possible at scale. It's not decorative. It's the engineering solution that turned a cheap textile into a reliable fastening mechanism. Without it, mass-produced laces are useless. Then there's the length. The lace in your shoe isn't a random cut of cord. Shoelace length is calculated by eyelet count, and manufacturers settled into a standardization logic that traces directly back to early factory production. Because if you're making millions of pairs, you need predictable inputs. Every eyelet pair added means more lace required, and those calculations had to be consistent enough to run on an assembly line without constant adjustment. Even the bow knot you tied this morning has a reason behind it. It became the dominant closure because it's the fastest secure knot a person can complete under time pressure, often effectively one-handed once you've done it 10,000 times. For workers clocking in before a shift, that speed wasn't trivial. Circle back to this morning, you rushing out the door, tying your laces without a single conscious thought. That gesture is the end product of centuries of social pressure, economic disruption, and quiet engineering. The lace isn't there because it's the best way to close a shoe. It's there because it was the best way to close a shoe cheaply, quickly, and at industrial scale. And once it won, it never left. So next time you tie your shoes, you're not just getting dressed. You're repeating a solution that helped clothe an entire industrializing world. Subscribe if you want more hidden histories like this, and watch the next one right now.